Hello everyone. Can you hear me? If everything okay, testing, you can reply by text message here. Okay, thank you. The voice, video, everything clear. If you have anyone have a problem, just text here, please. We will resume our webinar today within 2 minutes. Still waiting everyone to join. Hello everyone. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to webinar number 10. This webinar is specially arranged for current and future APC candidate to assist them in the APC competency requirement. Today's topic is design economics and cost planning. It's me, Arshad Karim. I'm a chartered quantity surveyor, currently working as a contract specialist with Qatar Development Bank from last 6 years. Totally overall, I have a 12 years experience with client organization as well as contract organization and consultancy as well. Today, our topic is design economics and cost planning. This is a core competency for level 3 as well as optional competency for level 2. Whoever working in consultancy organization, you can choose as a core competency for level 3. Whoever working with the contracting organization, you can choose as a competency level 2. Design economics and cost planning. First of all, you have to understand from the wording what does mean, what is design economics meaning and cost planning. It's mean design the building in economic way. For that one, we are using cost planning as a major tools. That is what all about we are going to discuss in next 2 hours. Please stay with me. According to the RICS competency guidance, this competency covers the impact of design and other factors on cost throughout the life of the building and control the cost during the pre-contract stage. You will learn through this competency what are the factors affecting the costing of design and how you control the cost. What are the mechanisms available to control the cost during the pre-contract stage? As you all know, pre-contract stage is very crucial to any projects, from establishing the budget up to tender stage. It's very crucial to control the cost because construction is a business. It's all about money. It involves lots of money. So cost is the major factor. Cost is the reason you involve in this business. So you have to make sure you have to reduce the cost much as possible to increase the profitability of your company. Therefore, you have to understand the basic things. In next slides, I will cover throughout this presentation. First, this cover candidate understanding and involvement with the techniques used to manage and control cost during the design development phase of project. We will see what are the design development stages in this contract. During this presentation, I will cover following major topics: the competency requirements, factors affecting the design economics, design process, cost planning, value engineering and value management, and some model question in regards to RICS interview panel. As you all know, the competency requirement at level 1, what RICS expecting from you to demonstrate knowledge and understanding. It's all about knowing. Normally it's a theoretical part. They will ask a direct question from you, what it is, how it is, what are the factors. You have to understand and demonstrate what it is. At the level 2, you have to apply your knowledge, what do you understand. For example, preparing the cost plan, how you prepare, preparing the cost estimate, how you conduct the value engineering. At this level 2, you should know how to prepare it. At level 3, you should able to know how to advise. Also, it's a prepare reports. If you choose this competency as a level 3, you should able to advise. You should able to communicate with your client, with the design team. You should able to advise, prepare reports. So RICS expecting at this level 3. These are, I pick it from RICS pathway guide, which are the things you have to make sure you are well aware about this before you go into interview. At this level, you should be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding the main factors that affect the design economics over the whole life of building. In later slides, we will know what are the main factors which is affecting the design. Also, you should be able to demonstrate knowledge, understanding how cost planning assists in the financial control of the project during the design development stage. In the later stage, later presentation, you will come to know everything which is included in my presentation. These are the things I pick it from RICS APC pathway guide. Once I finish my slides, you will cover all this knowledge. I don't need to read and waste the time. Rather, I will go directly to the level 2 competency information. This is, you can read in RICS pathway guide as well. Also, once you finish this presentation, you will able to understand all these things. Also, another things you should know as part of your APC process, you have to write summary of experience. So while you're writing the summary of experience, you should able to cover these things you learn from your university or undergraduate courses, or any CPT you attend, or from your own reading, or discussing with your friends. You should able to understand this knowledge. What are the factors affecting design economics? How cost planning assists, source of cost data, how you adjust the cost data, what are the rules of order of cost estimate. These things you should able to understand during your studies. So while you're writing summary of experience, try to cover these things on your writing. Level 2, you should able to produce cost plan and cost estimate. Also, you should know how to carry out life cycle cost exercises, how you apply value engineering, how to prepare a reports, how to submit a cost data. These are the things you have to cover. You should be able to know while you're working. So while you writing your summary of experience, you have to say, while I'm working this project, I did cost plan in order to control the project during the pre-contract phases. This kind of wording you have to mention in your writing, like you did, how you did, when you did. These are the things you have to include on your summary of experience. Level 3, you have to able to give strategic and reason advice. How you can give strategic advice. For example, when your project budget more than the client budget, when your cost plan is more than the client budget, how you advise your client. So these are the experience they're looking for RICS interviews on your daily working life, how you face these kind of circumstances. While you're writing your summary of experience, you have to give evidence for which you covered during your working time. So whoever choose level 3, whoever working with consultancy should be able to know how to prepare a cost plan, how to communicate with your client, how to communicate with your design team, how to use the value engineering techniques when you require to reduce the cost. These are the things you should write with evidence, with a scenario in your summary of experience. So far what we discussed, just a pathway guide, which required you to cover during your summary of experience writing. Also, when you go to interview, you should be able to demonstrate yourself what it is, when you did, how you advise to your client design team or your project team. Next, we are going to discuss about what are the factors which is affecting the building cost. This is the basic of the design economics. What are the factors affecting building cost? These things you may learn during your undergraduate studies. These are the basic things I will go through quickly. Building cost mainly affecting design factors, site factors, economic factors. We will see next slides what it is. Factors affecting the building cost. Design factor, for example, shape, plan, grouping of building. Definitely, the shape of the building is the main factor, main element in terms of deciding the cost factor. Let's see how it's affect. For example, on this diagram, you have to build area 140. This is example, how the effects of the plan with the plan shape, how the shape is affecting the building cost. Let's say you have to build 140 meters square small room. You have what is your intention? You have to build 144 meters square. Here you have 3 options available in terms of shape of the building. First, in the easiest way, you can make a 12 meter into 12 meter easily square shape. Also, you can make rectangle shape 20 meter into 7.2 meter. Also, you can make square building near to that area, diameter 13.5 meter. In all 3 methods, you can achieve the same area what you look at. However, this shape will affect the cost. How? You will see here. Because of the shape, the length of the foundation will differ. Because of the shape, external walls will differ. Eave gutters will differ. Drainage, paved area, natural lighting, span of floors, layouts. These are the things will affect. Also imagine if you build an irregular shape. Irregular shape is more complicated, normally very costly. For example, if you are living in Qatar, there are many buildings which are irregular shape. They're built for attractive tourist attraction. For example, Qatar Museum building. If anyone go to Cornish, you may experience. This type of building, the building not considering the cost. What they need is a pride, just to attract the tourist or the people, pride purpose. What we are discussing here is the economy of the building. So the most economical shape is square shape. Why? It's easy for natural ventilation. It has less perimeter compared to rectangular. When it has less perimeter, the length of the foundation will be less, external walls will be less. Also drainage will be less. So this is the reason. Design factor, the first one, shape plan definitely will impact the cost of the building. Second, the group of building. This is the group of building. You want to build this much of rectangular big, let's say school building. You can make it in one rectangular. Also, you can make it same area by small classes. Which one is economical? The rectangular one or square one? Definitely it's a rectangular. Why? Because the different building will cost more rather one building. So these are the factors the architect basically learn. What we learning here, that just for theoretical purpose as a quantity surveyor, you should know these things. Also, the number of stories will definitely impact the cost. How? For example, you can't compare with one-story building with 10-story building prices, because one story usually within that area, the cost per meter square definitely more compared to 5 or 10-story, because when the area is high, there is a chance for less cost per meter square. Also, story height. You can observe in the building, there are many types of building here. Some building story height 3 meter, some are 2.8, some are 3.3. So you can't compare with story height with a different story height. You have to compare with same story height. Also, size of the building definitely affect the cost. Circulation space. What does mean circulation? Circulation mean it's a people going through the general spaces which allocated, for example, staircase, lift, passage, balcony. This is called circulation. Also, definitely internal layout will affect the cost, and specification and working condition. When you check the working condition, working in the existing building different from working in the new building. So these are the main factors, design factors, which is affecting the building cost. These are just the theoretical part. There is nothing you have to think about it. Just remember, for your question, there might be a level 1 question on this one. Just straightforward. What are the factors affecting the design building cost? You can answer directly design factor, site factor, economic factor. When they ask what are the design factor, you can just list out To remember, I just make it understand by through this picture. When you take the site factor, design factor we already discussed. Now, when you take the site factor, these are the main things. Location. Definitely the location is the major factor deciding the cost. For example, if you are in Sri Lanka, the cost of the building differ from capital Colombo to any other outstation, because mainly it's a transport cost is the matter. Also the available labor resources, technology, these are the main things. Also topography. Topography also main factor deciding the cost. How, when you have a flat land, you have a less cost. Why? You can get the natural wind waves easily. When you have a slope, your cost will be different. You can't compare with flat land building with slope land. So topography is the one of the main factor. Also geology. Geology, it's about the soil bearing capacity, soil type of foundation. Especially there are many types of soils available. We can learn in the construction technology. Depend on the soil type, the cost definitely will be vary. For example, if you want to build in this normal land, sandy land, compare with the muddy land. The muddy land, you have to improve your soil bearing capacity. You have to do some additional effort to make that land increase the bearing capacity. In this case, geology also a major factor. Also environmental, for example, if you want to build a building near to river bank or any flooding area or any near to forest, you have to consider the environmental factor. So in this case also, the cost of the building will be increased. Also access to the site, this is also one of the factor. For example, if you want to work in the restricted places, for example, army camp, or in perfect example in Qatar is a Barzan camp. I used to work before. You have to get a special passes for that one. So contractor, the time of the construction duration may increase because there is a lots of restriction, lot of security issues. This is the reason access to the site also one of the major factor. Also existing services. For example, if you want to, nowadays in Qatar, everywhere there is an underground train, metro train is there. So if you want to build a building near to the metro station, you have to spend additional money to take protection of the all the existing services, drainage line, also the metro line. You have to put additional protection. Also existing site use, the used site also one of the factor, size of site, adjoining properties. If you have adjoining properties, you have to protect them, their properties as well. So this is also one of the factor affecting the design cost of the building. Economic factor, so far we have discussed about the design factor and site factor. The third one is economic factor. Economic factor, it's depend on the amount of work available. As you all know, that if you want to build a small building, if you want to build a large quantity, it's a big building, definitely there is an impact on cost per meter squared. When there is a more quantity, there is always chance for a less cost. Also availability of resources. This is the major issue especially in Qatar, lack of labor resources nowadays due to the COVID pandemic, maybe everywhere in the Middle East due to travel restriction. When there is a non-availability of resources, definitely the cost will go high. Third one is a desirability of the project. Some client, they don't care about the cost, just they want to build it. So the desirability. So this is also one of the factor for the building cost. Cost of borrowing. This is from the bank. Some client get the loan and build it. This is also, so in the construction cost, the interest rate also will be added. When you compare with the client, he has already money on himself, so he can invest easily. So this cost of borrowing also one of the factor. Microeconomics of the tendering firms. Some construction firms depend on the workload, impact on the tender price, fixed cost overhead. This is also deciding the cost of the building. Finally, the procurement choices and market condition, also one of the key factor. Currently, due to COVID pandemic, the market condition badly affected in terms of traveling and supply chain, especially affected, labor forces especially affected. So these all factor which are deciding the cost of the building. As a quantity surveyor who are costing the building should know these conditions. Okay, now we need to finish our first part of this presentation. Just a theoretical part. There won't be no major question in RICS panel. I hope just a straightforward question. Now we are moving to major part of today's presentation, which is cost planning, which is the major mechanism tools to control the cost during the pre-contract phases. As you all know, construction is an expensive process. It's consume a lot of time and cost. The major part of decision to build is a cost. Therefore, you have to check the cost first before you go into the project. For example, if you want to buy a phone, what you will do generally? First, you will check what are the features available, how much is cost, any alternative model available to choose the phone. So just for buying phone, you making many plans. You're planning your cost, you checking the features. Think about the construction. It's a long process. It involves a lot of parties, lot of different parties. So you have to think carefully before you into the contract. First, cost planning is about forecasting the cost, how much it's going to be. Whatever reason, when you enter into the project, it's always is a business decision. What does mean business decision? For example, if one client want to build a new plant to increase his productivity and compete with his competitor, or one consultant company need to build one head office for his staff to increase his imagination, provide business opportunities, giving comfortable to his staff. Also, if you want to build a house, you want to check how much will cost. You want to provide more comfortable for your family, more facilities to a family. Also, if a government want to build a highway to reduce the congestion, also improve the economy, reduce the maintenance cost. So everything before you involve, you want to know how much would be cost, because everything is a business decision. You want to invest lots of money on here. You have to make sure your investment, the profitability, you have a future for you on this investment. So in construction, we have a tool to identify before you starting the project whether it's feasible or not, whether it is more feasible, more profitable, more convenient to your company. So you have to make sure everything depends on money. You have some, the money is not easily available on this world. So you have to make sure the money is available with you. So that's the what reason cost planning take place in construction in pre-contract stage. So we will, next slides, we will discuss one by one. It's RICS APC pathway guide listed followings. What these are the things you should know once you, if you want to pass this competency, you should cover about cost planning following. You have to understand what is cost planning during the contract, pre-contract phases up to design completion. It involves preparing, issuing, and presenting cost plan at the different stage of design. It includes understanding of purpose of elemental cost planning. What purpose you prepare elemental planning? How to setting a budget? The components of elemental cost plan. The terminology used including cost limit, cost target, functional element, element unit quantity, and rate. Measurement rules related to cost planning, source of data, benchmarking technique, use of value management, value engineering, life cycle costing techniques, factors affecting the cost efficiency of design, reporting of cost plan. It's also include what are the elements under the cost plan, and RIBA design stages. So during this presentation, I will cover these all topics. These are the design stages which is defined by RIBA, which is called Royal Institute British Architect. These are the architectural firm like RICS for quantity surveyors. This is for architect organization, which is providing guidance for architect. So RICS is also coordinating with them to define these design stages. These are the recently updated RIBA design stages. For the interview purpose, you have to know what are the stages. These are the 8 stages which is defined by RIBA. So start with strategic definition, preparation and brief, concept design, spatial coordination, technical design, manufacturing and construction, handover, use. Before 2020 introduced, this was their plan of work. They regularly update the plan of work. This is also 8 stages. The only changes, number 4, technical design. Sorry, number 3, develop design. It's become spatial coordination. So they just updated recently, 2020. Before going for an interview, better you know the recent update. So the spatial coordination, which is replaced with develop design. So every stage, these are the description they have updated in the website. What are strategic definition? Usually client identify his requirements, client requirements, whether he want to build a hotel, he want to build a hospital, he want to build a market, whatever it is. This is the stage he identify his requirements and develop business case for feasible option. At this stage, roughly identify the project budget. As a quantity surveyor, I will highlight, I will not go through detail because it's most related to all the professional who involved in this process. I will highlight just what quantity survey need. In the 0 strategic definition, once clients identify what he want to build, the project budget established, or it's a tentative budget at stage. Client say, I want to build within this budget. Or from his previous project experience, he say, I want to build this much. Then preparation brief, from this stage, it's developed. A preparing brief, outcome, and project outcome, feasibility study. Feasibility study undertake at this stage, whether this project is viable or is a feasible, is a profitable, they decide at this stage. So at this stage, they agree on project budget. Once project budget agree, they go to concept stage. Concept stage, the architect, different discipline architect, they develop the design based on the area, floor area, sketches, plans. From that one, the quantity surveyor prepare the initial cost plan. In the later stage, we will discuss how to prepare a cost plan. Once it's prepare a cost plan, then it's moved to spatial coordination. At this stage also, continue the cost exercises. Let's say if it is a cost plan 1, then at this stage, we can say cost plan 2. So when the design develop, the cost plan also develop. So we have to compare with cost plan, what is the difference from initial budget to cost plan 1 to cost plan 2. These details, how to prepare a cost plan, what are the things we have to look on this, we will discuss in later slides. I just going briefly on this stage. Then once is the technical design developed, this is the tendering stage. All the drawings, construction drawings completed, then you have to prepare the detailed cost estimate. So these are the main stage of the design throughout the pre-contract phases. This is defined by RIBA. As part of the APC process, you should know these steps and your role as a quantity surveyor. What should know, what you doing, how you advise your client. So these are I just summarize in perspective of quantity surveying. These are the main stages. You have to set the cost limit here, and you have to continually do the cost check up to technical design, up to tender stage. And after the construction, this site operation, you have to analyze the cost, what you prepared before. Then this whole process called as a cost control process throughout the life of the building, from preparation to use. So how to prepare these things, how to prepare a cost analysis, how to set the limit, we will discuss in next slides. As a quantity surveyor during the design stage, what I discuss, I summarize here. What is your role here? You don't need to worry what is written here. This is related to all discipline. I just summarized here your role as a quantity surveyor. Strategic definition, you should be able to prepare a budget. How to prepare a budget, we will learn it later. Preparation and briefing, how to prepare a feasibility study. Usually this feasibility study prepared by consultant. However, you have to review and agree with the budget. Once it's concept design, you have to sit with the client and design team, and you have to make sure everything is go as planned. Then spatial coordination, you have to carry out the cost check, update the cost check, and technical design, you have to do the cost check. What is cost check? We will see in the next slides. As per the RICS handbooks, the cost planning is defined as a technique by which the total budget is allocated to the various elements of an intended building project to provide the design team with a balanced cost framework within which to produce a successful design. Cost planning, it's a simple word you can say, is the forecasting the building cost. but RICS, they define in the handbook, is a technique, the budget allocated to the various elements of the building. What are the elements you have? According to the building function, we have a various elements. For example, substructure, superstructure, finishes, MEP works, external work. So these are the various elements. So the total cost limit allocated to different elements. So that is the planning of the cost, which help to produce a successful design. We will see in next slides detail about the cost planning. This is just a definition which is provided by RICS. The full cost planning process, which is basically designed to achieve a balanced expenditure and control the design so that the client financial commitments are met. The cost planning used to control the design. How to control the design? Because every client, every projects, they have a certain budget allocated. This process, cost planning, is make sure the design doesn't over budgeted. So every design process, there is a cost checking process that will make sure the project budget is within the allocated budget. Also, RICS handbook defined as a cost management. It is a total process which ensure that the contracts are within the client approved budget or cost limit. The total process, which is called cost management. This one, the cost control or cost management from 1 to 7, all the process which is called cost management. The main intention, the contracts are within the client approved budget. This is the purpose of cost management. The contract sum is within the client approved budget or cost limit. So this is the reason this cost planning, cost management process established. This is the main objectives of the cost planning. These are the 3 objectives: to ensure that the client obtains an economical and efficient project in accordance with the agreed brief and budget. So these are the first main objective. Whatever it is, economical project, accordance with the agreed budget. This is the main objective. Second, to make the design process more efficient. How design process can be more efficient? For example, let's assume you don't have a cost planning process. You start the design process from concept design, then move into spatial coordination and technical design. After all design, you check the budget. Sometimes it will be more than what you planned. Sometimes it's a less. So in order to make a design efficient, for example, you don't do cost planning during the design process, what will happen? So you wasted a lot of abortive works. For example, concept design, you didn't check. Spatial coordination, you didn't check. In the end, when you check, it is more than your budget. So you have to redesign your work within the budget. So the all work or rework is abortive work. So to make what cost plan is doing, it make more efficient. So that is one of the key objective. So every stage when you do cost plan, cost check, so you will know where is the problem. You can identify which area you have to reduce the cost. The third one, to ensure that all requirements arising from the client brief to the design team are included in the cost planning process. So this is also one of the objective, to make sure every stage when you check everything, when you do the cost check, when you do all the scopes are included, you will not fail to include any of client requirements. So through cost planning, you can achieve these three objectives. Further, cost plan is developing from initial preliminary estimate. So before cost plan, you have to do preliminary estimate. So in construction, you will learn later in the slides what are the preliminary estimate methods available. So cost plan, for the developing a cost plan, you need a preliminary estimate. You should know as a QS how to prepare a preliminary estimate. The cost plan can be prepared in elemental format or functional format. Usually, this is the standard as recommended by RICS. What are the elements? As I discussed before, substructure, superstructure, internal finishes, services, external work. These are the main elements of the building. So you have to use that element to prepare a cost plan. The design team can be proceed to develop the design within a structured economic framework and agreed parameters. The cost plan, which is helping the design team also. The cost consultant role is to use the cost plan to maintain and control the cost while design decisions are being made. So as a cost consultant, as a QS, you had to maintain and control the cost. So how we will do, we will discuss in next slides. The process basically divided in three main parts. You have to prepare a cost plan. So how you will do, that's all about here. It has three steps. First, you have to set a realistic cost limit. What does mean realistic cost limit? Cost limit means a budget. First, you have to set a realistic budget rather than just for this one, the QS knowledge is very crucial. The experienced QS, he has to use the right project to decide. How we will decide, we will see. To decide how this money is to be spent. First, you need to set the limit. Then you have to decide how this money is spent. It means it's a cost target. As I discussed before, here you are using the elemental format. So your budget divided the budget proportion it into elemental of the cost. For example, if you want to build a hospital, let's say 100 million. So that is your cost limit. From using the preliminary estimate, you identify that is your 100 million is your budget, the cost limit. Now you have to decide how you are going to spend. For example, what are the main elements you have? Substructure, superstructure, internal finishes, whatever it is. The list out main structure 5 or 6. Then you have to proportion it that cost 100 million. For example, substructure you get 150,000, 15%. Superstructure 40%. Services 30%. External work 10%. You have to use your experience on similar project. You have to proportion it. That's what the second say. You have to decide how this money is going to be spent. In the later, I will show one cost plan for you to understand easily. Third one, to check that the money is being spent as intended. This process called cost check. So you allocated each element some money that is called cost target. So after design develop, you have to check that one whether within the money is within your limit. That's what I define here, cost check. The third process is cost check. This cost limit, second one cost target, third one cost check. What does mean cost check? Calculating cost for the specific design proposal and comparing with the cost plan during the whole process. To confirm cost remains within the budget to reduce design abortive work. This is the purpose of cost check. Mainly reduce the design abortive work. After you full design, if you come to know your budget is over, it's long process. You have to come back again. You have to start from the scratch. From every step of the design stage, which I discussed earlier, if you do the cost check, you will save lots of time and your design will be more efficient. To prepare a cost plan, what are the information required? It's depend on the stage. At each design stage of traditionally procured project, information should be provided to the quantity surveyor to enable him or her to prepare the required cost estimate. Generally, following information, especially the client, location, site, the brief of the project, the design team, schedule of areas, ground floor how much, first floor how much external work, also drawing specs. The level of information provided by the design team would vary at each stage. More details will become available at design progress. So to prepare an initial cost plan, these are the details you require. Once they provide the details, your job as a quantity surveyor, you have to provide the cost plan. So generally, in this slide discussing, when they give the information, client or design team, architect give, what is your response? You have to provide a statement of a cost, indication of specification, what level of specification you use a general quality or mid-end quality, high-end quality, statement of floor areas, each floor how much, cash flow forecast. This is very important, cash flow forecast. This is one of the main benefits of cost plan, cash flow. How? Because now you know you need 100 million, for example, to build a hospital, you need 100 million real, you need it, okay? As a client, I want to know when I need, how much I need. So this is very crucial, cash flow. If you don't give this cash flow, the client, for example, he want 100 million. Sometime he will get a loan from the bank 100 million from initial stage, because construction is a progress. It's a long progress. Start with every element one by one. So when you provide the cash flow, for example, 1 year project, you should have a baseline program, which month, how much you needed. So when you give that information on your cost plan, cost report, the client will know his commitment. Accordingly, he can decide which month want, how much he want. So he can save unnecessary interest he need to pay for the banks. Most of the client, without banks, it's impossible to build the building. This is the current world scenario. Whoever want to build, they definitely they go for a even small loan, even the big client as well. Also in the cost plan, you have to give assumption exclusion. What are the assumption? Because you are doing the cost plan in early stages. At that stage, there is not much available information. As a quantity surveyor, you have to coordinate with the design team. You need to make a lot of assumptions, sometimes exclusion as well. Sometimes your client doesn't include furniture work, furniture fit out work, sometimes from the tenant. So depend on the nature of the project, you have to make those decisions. Those decisions should be communicated in the cost report that should go to the client in future references. Also contingencies. What is contingencies? It's an unforeseen work. So normally in the cost plan, in general, we allow, it's a trend, not compulsory, depend on the nature. Sometimes we allow 10%. It is not a standard. In my experience, usually we allow for contingencies, for example, design development risk. Sometimes client changes risk. Sometimes unknown risk we allow in case to avoid any additional budget required later stage. It is a risk elimination, risk management, including the contingency and inflation. You should know the current trend of the market condition. So inflation, you have to say in the cost report whether you consider the inflation, because you will do the cost plan this year, maybe you constructing next year. When you do costing here, next year maybe the major difference. The cost may be, the inflation will be high, the project prices will go high. That time you can't met your budget, what you prepare. So you have to consider inflation as well. So when you give when the client give this information as a quantity survey, you should prepare a cost plan according following, not limited to, but these are the main things you have to include. Later slide, I will show you one cost plan for your reference. Generally, there are two types of cost plan. One, we call it elemental, another one comparative. What does mean elemental? Elemental is a designing to a cost. The cost divided into the element of sub-building. Now that is the cost target. As an architect, when you prepare an elemental cost plan, you give to the architect. The architect, the target, his aim should be the maximum budget what you provided. For example, the same scenario which we taken before, 100 million hospital project, we allocated substructure 15%, 100 million, so 15 million. That is the cost for architect. He need to make sure he design that structural part, substructure part within that one. That is called designing to a cost. He always, the structural engineer should aim to finish his design within that cost. That is the best practice. Also, there is another cost planning method is comparative. This is called costing a design. This is just a costing a design. Normally, the architect doesn't care about anything. He has a budget 100 million. What he do, substructure, okay, he design a raft foundation. Also, he design a footing foundation for that particular building land. Then the quantity survey, what you need to do, you have to costing a design. You costing the footing, also you costing the raft. So you compare it, which is better. Then you decide it. This is called comparative. The first one, designing to a cost. Second one, costing a design. Now, we talk a lot about the cost plan, but in the initial slide, cost plan, I said to prepare a cost plan, the first para, what does say? The cost plan developing from an initial or preliminary estimate. So we learn about cost plan. Before cost plan, we have one activity you need to know, that is preliminary estimate. So cost plan taking to place in second stage. Before that one, as a quantity surveyor, you should know how to do the preliminary estimate or order of magnitude cost estimate, it is called order. So we will see how to prepare it. Setting a budget. Budget can be set using following preliminary estimate methods. In industry, there is 2, 4, 6, 7 methods available. As a quantity survey, you should know each and everything. But you may use mostly superficial area method or elemental method. However, better to know, maybe you have learned this one, your undergraduate studies as well. Just to make all inclusive, I have included in this chapter. First one, conference estimate. This estimate just about collective view of a group of individual. For example, some high-level people in a company, for example, CEO, MDs, they have enough experience, they are decision maker. So they don't want any assistance in the early design brief stage definition. They need to set the budget, okay? So what they need to do, they get together and they discuss. For example, if they want to mall a shopping mall, the same, the owner of the building, he built many malls throughout the country. Let's say, perfect example, Lulu owner. You all know, especially in Middle East. So Lulu owner, he has company CEO, managing directors. So they all get together. They're just discussing. We need to build another branch in this place. Okay, how much will be cost? Because they want to build similar building. When you go to this this shopping mall, they all are very similar to each other, so they can easily decide how much per cost. Let's say 10,000 per meter square in Qatar, we want about including all interior fit out, or we want to build this 10,000 meter square and this much cost, then they decide. This is also one of the way to set the preliminary estimate. It's not depend on the historical data or previous project. This through the experience. This is also, you can't deny this kind of maybe this more correct because they are well experienced. They already delivered for that cost. So this is one of the method. Second one, financial method. This is mainly based on selling or rental value. Selling and rental value. For example, financial method. Let's say you want to build apartment. Okay, the selling value is currently in, you are checking the market currently, let's say in rupees Sri Lanka, which I know for the apartments, 15,000 per meter square, per square feet. Okay, now you want to build 10,000, so you will incur 115 million cost. So 115 million cost. So you adding some profit for you, let's say 5 million. So 200 million is your budget, simply. This is from based on the selling and rental value. This is also one of the method. Third one, unit method, based on the cost of building and the number of functional unit within the building. This method generally used for a number of unit for a hospital, 100-bed hospital, 500-bed hospital. One bed, how much? Usually total building cost divided by number of beds for the hospital. For example, school, for example, mosque, car park. These buildings, usually we can easily measure through unit. Hotels, 1,000 hotel rooms per number. So whichever the building, the functional decided by the numbers, we can easily total cost divided by the numbers. Then you will get the unit method. Also superficial area method. This is cost per square meter of gross internal floor area. What is gross internal floor area? As per RICS definition, you can see the definition. Internal face of the external wall, excluding the staircase, lift, passage. So all the usable areas we can count as a gross internal floor area. This is the per meter square area. For example, if one building cost 500 million and your area 10,000, your 500 million divided by 10,000, you will get cost per square meter. Next one, cube method. Usually this cost per cubic meter of previously completed project. This method is not in practice. Previously, long time ago, this widely used. Next one, elemental method. This is very similar to extension of superficial area method. Same method, however, it's the cost break into the element of the building, which I discussed earlier. The final one, approximate quantity method, always used when cost checking during the detailed design stage. This is normally used, not often used in the pre-contract concept stage, but widely used in the later design stage. When there is a quantity, when you're able to measure the quantity, this method can be used. So this is the explanation for setting a budget. So once you set the budget, it's become a cost limit. So the cost plan process start. So what we discuss here, First stage of cost plan, it is developed from the preliminary estimate. What we discuss, how to prepare a preliminary estimate. Once you prepare a preliminary estimate, it is your budget. Then that budget converted into cost plan into the element. Then your aim should be, you have to make sure design within that cost target of each element. That is your main responsibility. Elemental method. Now we talk about two types of cost planning. Now let's look further about the elemental method. Cost plan two types. What we discussed before cost plan, there is a process preliminary estimate. We discuss here. Now two types of cost plan. What is, I already discussed what is elemental, comparative. Detail of that slide will go here. Elemental method. An element is part of building which performs specific function. Substructure, it's one function. It's carrying the load, transferring to the earth. Superstructure, providing aesthetic appearance, wall partition, ceilings, aesthetic services, MEP services, external development. Everything has a specific function. So elemental method, which performs specific function based on the function. It can be used to create an initial cost plan based on information provided. This form of estimating is used as the basis of elemental cost planning before any drawings are available. Any drawings are available. The assessor, RICS assessor, he will start the question. Normally, the level 1 only they will ask directly. Level 2 and 3, most of the question indirectly. So they will ask your client looking your cost plan when you don't have any drawing available. What kind of advice you will provide? This kind of question they may ask. So you should know when there is a drawing available, what mechanism you have to control the cost, to know the cost. So your answer should be structured way. The basis of elemental method lies in the use of elemental cost analysis. Now another chapter coming is cost analysis. So elemental cost plan mainly depend on cost analysis. So now we want to know what is cost analysis. Once this type of cost planning finish, we will discuss what is cost analysis. Elements of building, this I already discussed this one verbally. What is substructure, superstructure, internal finishes, fittings and furnishing, services, external work. These are the category defined by RICS. These are the main elements of the building. So elemental cost plan, what it's all about. The total cost of each element divided by the floor area is called the elemental cost per square meter. Total cost divided by the floor area, gross internal floor area. Quantity factor for the elemental unit quantity is the total quantity of each element. The total cost of the element divided by the quantity factor is called the elemental unit cost. So these are the definition. What is elemental unit cost? Total quantity, total cost divided by the quantity. You will get the elemental unit cost. When a preliminary estimate is required, the analysis of previously completed projects should be studied and one or two chosen which most closely represent the new project. When you choose the project for a cost plan, you have to carefully choose previous completed project and should be studied and one or two chosen which mostly closely represent the new project. So it's very important to choose similar project. For example, if you want to build a hospital, you have to choose previously completed hospital project should be related to same function. Some hospital have basic function. Some have, for example, operation theater. So you should choose which you have operation project, operation theater cost information. That's what that para mean. The cost is chosen analysis are adjusted for the basis of new cost plan. So how you going to adjust? We will see next slides. How you are going to adjust. Factors affecting the preparation of cost estimate or cost plan. There are many factors that should be considered while preparing a cost estimate. These should be carefully looked into before submitting any estimate. Some of these factors are listed below. While you're preparing a cost estimate, preliminary cost estimate, you have to consider following factors. For example, location of the site, ground condition, structure, MEP system, what kind of structure they use, what kind of MEP services they use, any demolition work is there, extent of external works, grid size, program. So while we preparing a preliminary estimate, you have to make sure, you have to give adjustment, how you are going to, these are the theoretical. To easy to understand, I have prepared one case studies in below slides. So just theoretical purpose for time being, just you should know you have to consider this factor. For example, if you want to build one mosque in Doha and out of Doha, there is a cost, definitely there will be a difference due to location factor, due to transport factor, due to available labor resources, using the technology in the area. These are the main factors which we already discussed in the first chapter, factors affecting the design. So those factors affecting here as well, same. So I don't need to go one by one. You should know what are these. How we are going to adjust as a quantity survey, I will give you in below slides with the one case study. This is further to elemental cost planning. Elemental cost plan state that architect design intentions in sums of money, and this is the design budget. Throughout the design period, the QS should check the cost of the architect selection against the predetermined budget. This we already discussed. During the elemental cost planning, the QS should check the budget against the architect design regularly and identify the difference deviance, and you have to communicate with your project team, and you have to take any action required. For example, if it is over budget, you can redesign, or you can change the material specification, or you can conduct a value engineering. There are other mechanisms available that is also will be discussed later slides. To prepare a elemental cost planning, the following details you need: copies of sketch plan, elevation, brief specification of the method of construction, a note of the proposed standard finishes, fittings, services, type of contract, estimated tender date, length of contract, and target cost. Also suitable cost analysis, other suitable analysis for checking purpose. So what is cost analysis? It will come at the chapter. First, we learn about the elemental cost planning. Now we will briefly look about the comparative cost planning. As I said earlier, comparative, it's a design alternative design option available. For example, if you want to, for a building, if you want to build HVAC system, you have option package unit. You can design a split unit. What you do, designer will design both, and QS will cost both system, package unit and the split unit, and compare the cost, which is feasible, they will put it. That is called comparative cost planning. Other one, elemental cost planning, is a costing a design. That is different process. This one, another process. Both are cost planning. Comparative cost plan sets out the estimated cost of individual section of the work where appropriate. The estimate cost of alternative methods. That's what I call alternative methods. For example, like package unit, split unit, you can use like a staircase area, fire rated wooden door or fire rated steel door. Also for the slab, for the structural part, you can design with flat slab or you can slab and beam. Some other techniques available. So designer, what he will do, he will design both, whatever the available methods. And he will give it to you to quantity. So what you need to do, you have to price both of them. Then you compare the price and the team will decide which system to be implemented. So this type of plan is therefore a concise statement of the cost consequences of any decision the architect may make and is based on the pricing of a specific design and specification. So it's all about specific design and specification. The comparative cost plan aims to settle systematically whether one alternative is cheaper than another at a stage when it is most useful. That's why I explained before. One alternative is cheaper than another at a stage when it is more useful. Present to the designer in a well-ordered manner all the information related to the cost that he requires to make an economic design decision. So you prepare a cost and give to all alternatives with the cost details to make the decision. Comparison of alternatives based on initial scheme design, drawings, preparation of initial cost plan. Completion of the scheme design, preparation of the final cost plan. So after all comparison, you have to prepare a cost plan including all the details. The following are required to prepare a comparative cost plan. It's most of them similar to elemental cost plan. Here additionally, you need alternative countries. Number 4, details of initial services and fittings, including any alternatives to be considered. This is one of the things additionally needed when we compare to elemental cost plan. Other all are similar to elemental cost plan. What information required? Sometime for part of level 1, you have a question, comparison of elemental and comparative cost planning. What is the difference? You may have a question. This is a level 1 question. These days very rarely ask direct question. However, just for theoretically, better you know what is the difference. So just for reading purpose, I don't already discuss deeply. No need to go details. You can read and understand. So finally, we theoretically, we studied what is cost plan, what is the purpose, what are the steps process, what type of cost plan. So far we have discussed last half an hour about the cost plan. Now, after all theoretical, this is the cost plan format, how you produce. One of the, I just pick it from one of project which I prepared. So here, building structure, internal, external finishes. Rather than putting substructures, superstructure, internal finishes, I covered it with one item to reduce the number of elements. For elemental unit rate, elemental unit quantity, amount. This is my target cost for each item. Let's say I prepare this cost plan for concept stage. Okay, this amount, 8.7 million. This is the cost plan for this element. So designer, architect, his aim should be he need to design the project within this budget. This is the elemental unit quantity, mean total area of the building, and the elemental unit rate 1689, which this rate we derive from preliminary estimate, which is we discussed before. This estimate cost per meter squared. Okay, superficial method. I use superficial method. This is the elemental unit rate for my project for these items. How I get this rate? Okay, you say elemental from preliminary estimate. From preliminary estimate, you can get only the cost limit or budget. But how you get this rate? Using previous completed project cost analysis. So in order to prepare a cost plan, you should know how to prepare a preliminary estimate. In addition to that one, how to do cost analysis. So one area increasing, you want to know how to do cost analysis. From cost analysis, I derive this rate. When you say cost analysis, it's an examination of cost of each function of the building from previous completed similar projects. It's very important. You have to do cost analysis for similar projects, and you need to do some adjustment based on the factors. For example, location, time factor, risk assessment, contingencies, we will discuss later. So accordingly, my construction cost, I prepared for this particular project 26 million for the concept stage, and my preliminary is 10%. Then I added contingencies 10% for design development, 5% for any variation during the construction stage, 3%, and client reserve money 2% for safeguard. For this project, my budget was 36 million. However, my cost plan after the concept stage was 32 million, 0.3. So still within the cost limit or budget. So when it's reached more than 36 only, we have to explore, find the alternatives. So this is one of the cost plan format. Second, once you prepare a cost plan, you have to submit a cost report to your client. As a quantity surveyor, it is your main duty. You have to prepare a cost report. So I have just pick it up from one of previous projects, just for your understanding, rather than just putting the slide theoretically what it is. It is easy to understand from this report. Normally, the cost report should include introduction of the project, financial overview, inflation forecast. Are you, during your cost plan, are you include any inflation forecast? Here we haven't had any inflation. So here no allowance has been made for cost increase due to inflation. Also contingency summary. So how much percentage? This is the cost report format. For the basis of cost, information used and outstanding. It is assumed that the buildings and the surroundings will generally be finished with standard finishes. So in our cost, we are considering standard finishes. Any assumptions, inclusion, any exclusion. These are the things mainly you must include on your cost plan format, cost report format for the cost plan. Especially assumption, which period pricing you have taken. which stage of drawings you have considered, what procurement route you consider, what structure you considered. Here, we considered a combination of steel, portal frame, and RCC structures. Also, a general exclusion. What is excluded? For example, any demolition work, loose furniture, inflation cost, site supervision, financial charges, soft cost, pre-development charges, legal other fee. Whatever you considered, you have to communicate with your client clearly. This is very important. Also, this is level 3, what RICS expecting from you. So cost report is the level 3 competency, how to prepare a cost. They will ask, if you write on your summary experience, when you write, you prepare a cost plan, cost report, they will definitely they will ask question from what you did, how you give your advice in abnormal situations. So far we have learned about the cost plan. To prepare a cost plan, we need preliminary estimate. I have already discussed. Another one we need to prepare a cost plan is cost analysis. This is also one of the main contents of this cost planning. Actually, what is cost analysis? It is simply, it's a systematic breakdown of cost to facilitate examination. Simply say, it's a post-mortem of the completed project cost or tendered project. When you finish a project or when you tendered awarded project, you can take that cost into breakdown and you can do analysis how much will cost per meter squared for each element. It's the same exercise for elemental, just you have to analysis for the completed project. Analyze the cost of the project in terms of functional elements, break down the total cost of each element and express it as a cost per square meter of gross internal floor area. When a preliminary estimate is required, the analysis of previously completed project should be studied and one or two chosen which most closely represent the new project. The cost in the chosen analysis are adjusted for the basis of new cost plan. So analyzed cost should be adjusted for the new cost plan. How you will adjust it? You have to consider similar buildings for the cost analysis. For example, based on the function, hospital to hospital, 5-star hotel to 5-star hotel, mosque to mosque, also school to school. So similarly, if you want to do analysis, you have to choose a similar buildings. Also size and quantity. You can't compare with 100 meters squared with 10,000 meters squared because depending on the quantity, cost always will impact. So while you're choosing for cost analysis, you have to choose similar building size and quantity. After you chosen, you have to adjust for time, location, quantity, quality, and risk assessment. Time is very important because you take a project in order to analysis in 2008. If you want to build in 2022, definitely there will be an impact on the price due to time different. So how you are going to adjust? Sometimes the location may be different, as I discussed before. Quantity, also quality, also risk assessment. So these factors you have to consider. To make you understand, I have taken one exercise for you. So example of adjustment. Let's say this example, I directly pick it from my university assignment, which is very suitable to illustrate this situation. For example, my university building has one Millennium City building, one in one place. Usually my university have another location. They want to build the same building in another area. So the task as a quantity surveyor for me, I want to tell how much will cost for the same building in another location in another period. So the data available, total internal floor area 8,000 meters squared. So you want to tender date is 2017. This adjustment can be made especially in UK because they have a proper cost database, especially that is called BCIS, Building Cost Information Services. They regularly update every quarter about the cost information. Unfortunately, this information not available, especially other part of the world. Only this cost data available on developed countries. For the study purpose, we should know how these factors affecting the price. We should know how it's influenced the cost of the building. So the case is you have to build 8,000 meters squared in fourth quarter of 2017. For this cost, you have to open your BCI's price index. It show here for the UK, all over UK, the mean for this period, fourth quarter of 2017 price is 1,800 per meter squared. So this is why throughout the UK, now you want to build this building in Wolverhampton, the place called Wolverhampton. So you have to take that 1,800 per meter squared as a mean cost, and there is a location factor for Wolverhampton 0.92. Unfortunately, there is an error here. That is not 1,500, it is 1,800. 1,800, you have to adjust for location factor 0.92, which is 1,656 per meter squared. So total cost for 8,000 meters squared around 13.2 million. Now, as a QS, experienced QS normally, sometimes you have to adjust for local market condition by identifying the risk and this one. For that purpose, I have multiplied by 0.98. I feel this is little high. So therefore, I using my local knowledge to adjust this cost. Now you need to find out if you want to build this in fourth quarter of 2018, how much will be. If I want to build in fourth quarter 2017, 12.9. If I want to build in 2018, definitely there will be an inflation. There will be a change. So now the price index coming into effect. So according to the BCIS data, they regularly update the fourth quarter price index 249. For fourth quarter of 2018, they're forecasting 263. Now you have to do small adjustment for 1 year next year, which is 2018 fourth quarter. So 249 to 263 multiplied by the previous sum 12.983. So you will reach 13.7 million if you want to build in 1 year after. So in this example, you are adjusting for location, you are applying your knowledge, you are adjusting for time. So one example, you are adjusting for all three of the cost. So what you learn here, adjust for time, location, quantity, quality, risk assessment. As a quantity surveyor, on that example, I did 3 adjustments: time, location, and risk assessment as a quantity saver by using my local knowledge. So this is the reason I picked this example. Normally, this part of the world we don't do, but we have to do for inflation. Inflation, Qatar Statistics Authority, you can get the CPI, Consumer Price Index, for this adjustment. Other than there is no location factor, also no local knowledge or risk assessment. We do this part of the world. So this is the example how you need to do the adjustment for cost analysis. So in order to prepare a cost plan, you should have a cost information. Without cost information, it's impossible task to prepare a cost plan. So what are the sources available with us to prepare elemental cost analysis? For example, BCIS available, in-house cost analysis of previous projects, unit rate information. These are from previous projects. Also, the following points should be considered carefully when using any of the published information. Inflation, regional variation, initial quotation from specialists are likely to be low, special project requirements. So how you will get the cost information from these sources? Especially in Middle East, we usually have in-house cost data, quotation from supplier. These are mainly used, but there is no proper structured cost data not available in this part of the world. Just briefly about BCIS, it is launched Cost Information Services, Building Cost Info Services, which is launched in 1961. The main benefits, it standardized the format of reporting controlled by wealth experience at BCIS that may then be adjusted to the user bespoke format. Especially this is very useful in Europe. Just for your information, you should know this kind of service is available as part of your APC process. Also, another guidance available how to prepare a cost plan from RICS, New Rules of Measurement, which is called NRM, which has 3 volumes. The first volume, how to prepare an order of cost estimating and then cost planning, elemental cost planning. This is useful for work stages 0, 1, 2, 3, which we discussed before. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and appendices. This just for information. If you want to enhance your knowledge more about cost estimating and elemental cost planning, we can go through this volume. Also, volume 2 for construction quantities and work procurement, RIBA work stages 4 and 5, which is usable. Volume 3, maintenance and operation, cost planning and procurement, RIBA work stages 6 and 7. You will study detail in quantification and measurement competency. Just for your information, I just make these slides. Also, you should know some important definition. Cost checks, cost control, cost limit, cost target. Better you remember important words of this. I already discussed this in detail, no need to further explanation. What is cost check? When you need to know. What is cost control, cost limit, cost target? I explained with the design process in the diagram as well. So if you want further information, you can, the same definition, which is available in RICS website or RICS pathway, the volume 1 NRM 1, you can read and you can understand further to enhance your knowledge. Also some definition, what is cost per meter squared, what is elemental cost analysis, What is elemental cost plan? These are definition from RICS, standard definition. You not necessary to remember everything, just make sure you know the important things. Same, it's continue. So related question for level 1. Now we completed cost planning. They may ask that related question. Level 1 is direct question, just theoretical part. Directly they may ask, explain the main design factors that affect the cost planning, affect the cost of building, preliminary estimates, what are the types, purpose of estimate, where do you source data from in order to prepare accurate cost plan and provide the client with accurate cost advice at the front end of a job, difference between cost plan and cost analysis, difference between elemental and comparative cost plan. These are the things I have already covered in my slides. These are the direct question. There is nothing to think about it. Just you remember what it is by understand by the process rather than remembering. Just understand what is cost plan, what is cost analysis, what type of cost plan available, what is elemental, what is comparative, how many types, what are the order of cost estimate available. Think the process and understand it, easy to remember. So you can find easily answer. These are the level 1 question. Level 2 and 3. Level 2 and 3, they will not ask directly. They will create scenario. So when they create the scenario from your submission, you have to first you have to understand what they're meaning, what they're expecting from you. For example, question here: if a client approached you for a cost plan, where would you start? Second one, having completed a cost plan based on sketch design, how do you ensure that the design develops that cost plan is still correct? If a client meets with you to agree a cost plan and refuses to allow any contingencies, what would you do? How did you develop your initial cost plan through the pre-tender phase of job, ensuring all the parties understand the financial position of the project? How would you deal with the cost plan that is over the client's budget? How would you identify risk within the cost plan? So these are the level 2 and 3 questions. Sometimes tricky, but if you know the theoretical part, according to the scenario, you should be able to answer. Now we have limited time, only 20 minutes available. I need to cover value engineering and value management. If you're able to answer, you try to answer yourself. If not, you can contact me through the email ID provided. Or we have to set the session for question and answer and separate session, because we need to cover value engineering, value management techniques also. So just put on your mind once this webinar finish and try to answer yourself if you find any difficulty, or if you have any other option, another chance to discuss question and answer session. We will discuss further how to answer in a structured way, which is expected by the RICS panel. That is very important. You are now trying for a chartered qualification, professional qualification. While answering, you have to be smart and structured manner. That is what RICS is all about. A confident answer. You have to answer very confidently. Also, sometime when you ask, you have to tell example. During this project, I did this. I give this advice. Create more confident yourself to the panel. So questioning, answering is another process. It's a tricky process. structured process. Definitely we have to arrange another session if time permits. Okay, now so far we have discussed about what are the factors affecting the cost of the building, and cost plan process, how to control the cost management throughout the pre-contract process. Another terms you should know what is life cycle costing. In the design economics, this is very important word as well, because every product have a life. Similarly, the building product also has a life. So you should know the construction part. Until you build the building, your part is finished, but still there is a cost, operation cost, maintenance cost, dismantle cost. So while you designer should consider this one as well. Sometime when you design, if you consider the capital cost for a particular item, in the later stage you might have a operation maintenance cost more than throughout the lifetime of the building. That will cost more to the end user or client. Depend on the client objective. For example, if you want to rent out, you should have consider maintenance operation cost. If you want to sell out, you have sometime you may consider capital cost. So these things should communicate with the designer throughout the design process as well as with the client as well. So life cycle cost of an asset is defined as the present value of the total cost of the asset over its operating life, including initial capital cost, occupation cost, operating cost, and the cost of benefit of the eventual disposal of the asset at the end of its life. So it's clearly say what I described to you. Life cycle cost technique can be used, for example, evaluate design option at the elemental level. Also determine optimum maintenance strategies. Evaluate total building option, for example, refurbishment or new build. So based on the life cycle costing exercise as a quantity survey, sometime you have to do. For example, I can say you are designer, you are designer, you are QS, you are designer giving to build a AC, split AC. For reduce the cost, there is two options. He can put non-inverter and inverter. Okay, non-inverter, usually the capital cost is less. Inverter, the capital cost is more, but operation maintenance cost less for inverter because it will save the electricity. So these are the one example for life cycle costing exercise. So you can calculate how much additional electricity, how much monthly cost extra you will get for the non-inverter, and for 1 year how much for. So you can, and as a quantity survey, you have to do analysis and you have to advise your client. Related to life cycle costing, there will be usually level 1 question. What do you understand by the terms of life cycle costing? So you can elaborate simply. Finally, we are moving to value engineering and value management. Value engineering is a systematic approach to delivering the required function to required quality at the least cost. Method of ensuring that the clients get the best possible value for money in terms of safety, performance, and delivery targets. Okay, now we are coming to value engineering, value management. Now we discuss about the design economics, what factors are affecting the building cost, what is cost planning, what is cost analysis, what is preliminary estimate. Suddenly, why we need what is value engineering and value management? What we are discussing pre-contract cost control mechanisms. One of the mechanism mainly we use cost planning. Okay, we use cost planning throughout the design process. Unfortunately, your budget over. You're not able to design the building within the budget. So what mechanism available to reduce the cost? That is how the value engineering taking place here. The value engineering, one of the major tools to bring the budget back. So basically for RICS APC process, they may ask, well, what is the difference between value engineering, value management? Are you have any experience with value engineering in your project? When the budget is over to your, when the budget goes over to your limited cost limit, what you will do? So you have to answer using the value engineering techniques. Okay, to remember what is value engineering, you should know delivering the required function to the required quality at the least cost. These very important words to remember: required function, required quality for the least cost. So value management including, which is include value planning, value engineering, and value analysis. Value engineering part of the value management. So value management is a total process, value engineering part of it. What is definition? You can read and understand. That the techniques can be classified into value planning, value engineering, value analysis. This is called value management. There is another definition available for value engineering. It's a systematic method to improve the value of goods or products and services by using an examination of function. What is value? Function over cost. Okay, now reason for unnecessary cost. Generally, why we cost overrun, cost our more than our budget? Why? What are the reasons? As a human, it can happen. Generally, when you do investigation, what are the reasons for unnecessary cost happening in the construction? Shortage of time. Usually, we trying to complete the project short period. Misleading the information. As a human, sometimes the information inaccurate, hasty decision based on false assumption, false goals, objectives, scope, lack of ideas, lack of funds, resistance to change, unrealistic temporary circumstances, some internal politics, bad habit, over design, unrealistic safety factors, continuous changes in owner requirements, lack of communication, coordination, using unsuitable standards and specification. Because of this reason, there might be cost overrun. So how to bring back cost within the budget? That is what value engineering coming to application. This is a potential saving from value engineering application. Here, these are the stages of the design. Maybe the name is different from the current name, which strategic definition, plan and brief, concept design. This is previously used name. However, the same, there is a potential saving from value engineering in early stage. If you do value engineering from concept stage, there is 10 to 20% chance for reducing the cost. This is from research. So value engineering should be carried out early stage, depend on the project value. Because for a small project, if you establish a value engineering, the initialization of value engineering, that will cost more than your savings. So it's most suitable for a big project if you want for a big saving. how you can do value engineering, I will give one example below. So later stage, if you during the construction, the saving chances very less. However, recently introduced FIDIC is suggesting for value engineering in the construction stage, even though the best time to do conducting value engineering for best outcome is the early stage. Value management in construction. We study about value engineering and value management by theoretically. These are the design stages. Usually the value planning start from this brief and it will go up to design development. This design stages not applicable for current scenario, current RIBA plan of work, but it's a name changed. Now only 8 stages, previously around 13 stages. However, what I'm trying to say here, value management is a combination of value planning, value engineering, value analysis. When you have to do value planning during your initial design stage. When you have to do value engineering, you can do from concept also, design development, technical design. When you have to do value analysis, you have to analyze what you design after construction. Related question to value engineering directly, what is value engineering? What is value management? Level 2, they may ask what stage value engineering to be carried out. The project could have benefit much more if only the study had occurred sooner. Value management should be planned from inception, not bolted on as a corrective measure later. For a level 3 question, describe how value engineering technique have been applied to a project where you have been involved. So you have to give an example where are you involved with value engineering. For example, a formal value engineering study usually comprises a carefully structured job plan, which includes functional analysis. The job plan typically comprises the following stages. The initial step of the value engineering, there is a 6 steps is here. First, you have to get the information of the project. Then you have to do analysis of the function. Then you have to get the idea, you have to generate the idea. And idea evaluation and selection. Then proposal development and validation, implementation. These are the steps of value engineering. For you, as a level 3, in order to answer level 3 that question, first you have to tell the steps of value engineering. It's better to start from what is value engineering, then steps of the value engineering. Then you have to give example where you have been involved. This is the project I have involved. For example, when you read these slides, you will understand usually how it is, what is value engineering. Where I work, for example, if assessor ask with me, where are you involved in a value engineering, how you conduct it, I will answer like this. I involved in a villa, which is, I have to reduce the cost by 24%. After technical design, when I check my cost update, my budget was 2 million, which is here. But when I measure the cost, it is come 2.5 million. So I advise my design team, which is over budgeted. So I have to reduce to 2 million. Then only this project feasible to me, because I am an investor. I have to build this villa and I need to sell it. Already the project value is set out, selling price. Because 2 million, I add my profit 10%, So my selling price 2.2 million. After design, I evaluate my cost 2.5 million. So I have to reduce 24. So in pre-contract stage, what mechanism I have? So the best mechanism which I can use, value engineering. How I did? So I follow these old steps, A to F. As a quantity surveyor, and I am a part of the project team. It include project manager. My company, what they did, they appoint a consultant to conduct a value engineering exercise. Because usually value engineering should be guided by the experienced people. Even we are quantity surveyor, we only do the estimating on cost plan part. We can advise regarding the cost only. That is our expertise. We don't lead the value engineering, but we are part of the value engineering. So my company appointed a consultant who are specialist in value engineering. They collect the information. What they did, they collect the information. And as a team, I am part of the team. What are my function? Cost advising. Also, my project manager, all the design team, structural, electrical, mechanical, we all together. We did functional analysis. Every function, substructure, foundation. So after analysis, we identified ideas where we can reduce our design, where we can provide best value for money through the design. So our team identified, we use 300 millimeter draft, which is over design. So instead of that one, 150 millimeter ground slab is enough. So these are the things we identified. Remove all raft reinforcement and provide a wire mesh for resisting cracks. Reduce blinding from 100 millimeter to 500 millimeter. So we identify structural these elements to reduce the cost. Architectural revise rate for handrail. We change the material specification. Also revise rate for ceiling wall tiles. We change the floor tiles specification. Also, we change it to external door to semi-solid. Before solid door, now we change it to semi-solid. Still within the quality, required function. That's what definition of value engineering. Required function, required quality, least cost. So whichever we can. Also for mechanical, we reconsider cooling loads, excess capacity. Also for other item, revised rate for finishing material, cost efficient procurement, appliances, equipment, furniture, replace finishes with analogs. So after we generating these ideas, then we did evaluation. Once we change these ideas, how much we can save each item. So after, when architect design team generate the ideas, my task is to cost check. Again, cost plan, again, cost estimate and cost check continuously for each item. Then we arrived 1.96, which within our budget. So this is one of the example. So these are baseline cost, and the dark color, this one reduced cost. So you have to simply answer using this job plan, how you idea generated. If you did exactly, you will remember the steps, you can easily answer. If you write in your summary of experience, I conduct a value engineering for my project in order to reduce the cost. That is definitely will ask, how did you conduct? What is the process? Or they will ask, they will create some scenario. After evaluation, proposal development and validation. So the designer will check the design codes and everything, the validation, which affect anything, or how it will impact when you redesign these things. When everything confirmed, we have to implement. This will send to client. After client approval, we will change the design and resubmit. So this is all about value engineering. So last 2 hours, I hope I cover all the topics which I put in my content. So only thing I didn't explore the question and answering detail. I just went roughly. So when you look at this agenda, I covered everything. I hope you learned from this session, and best of luck for your APC interview. Thank you for listening. Good luck. Any question, you can send an email to MEQSA email ID or my WhatsApp number 70508440. I try to answer, or if everyone interested, we will arrange another session, question and answer session. Thank you. Good night.